Welcome to the 2 Decades Too Late podcast, gang. I'm Brad, hanging out with Josh.
So,
this is a podcast in which we rate and review an album that is turning 20 years old, mostly metal for whatever it's worth. Josh and I each give a rating of 1 to 5 to 4 different parameters, and that gives an individual maximum point total of 20 up for grabs and a maximum combined point total of 40. Real quick, though, before we get into the thing, and there's a reason I want to start with this, I forgot to bring this up before, I think, on this podcast here, but I do think it's worth... No, it's good. It's good. So when we did Mastodon, and we talked about how Blood and Thunder might be one of like the best first tracks of an album ever.
Yeah.
I forgot to post that week because I was being really lazy there for a while. And Mick messaged us, and he had an argument, and I'm bringing this up mostly because Mick should be highlighted today a little more than he maybe even normally is, because
nice.
Good on you, Mick. But his argument against that is Welcome to the Jungle on Appetite for Destruction, which is a very good first track and a very good call.
Yeah, it's a good first track.
Battery for Master of Puppets. And Battery might be the best Metallica song. It's in the soup. So I think that's a good one too. And then I think you could make arguments for OK Computer too, which is kind of cool. And he has some Led Zeppelin call-outs. So,
all right.
Thank you, Mick. Because I honestly, great arguments, and then to pull out a Radiohead song is pretty rad. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of Radiohead, but just the fact that he even thought of it, I dig it.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of those in the chamber to be like, oh no, this was definitely the first song off this. This is how the CD started.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. And Battery, I don't know how I didn't even think of that for my own argument, but
that's true.
Good on you. And the only reason I'm calling out Mick here, because Mick just, he interacts with us and we appreciate it, but it's because what are we reviewing today, Josh?
Well, I already kind of, dropped the bomb, but we have American Idiot from Green Day.
You're goddamn right. And we missed that completely. That it came out in 2004, and
we did.
Nick pointed it out for us. So thank you, buddy.
We're doing this instead of Shadows Fall. That's not true.
Nah, we'll probably still do Shadows Fall.
I doubt it. We're running out of weeks here.
We are running out of weeks. But yeah, so we're doing Green Day. Thank you, Mick. Appreciate it, bud.
How do we feel about this?
Well, so I went into it, not going to lie. My first thought was, when I woke up this morning, I can tell you 100% I did not want to listen to this. But I did.
Up this morning. Yeah, same. I was hesitant to put it on, even though, I know this. I know the songs, because who doesn't know the songs? But, I was not excited to listen to the songs.
Same. I had part of me was gonna, because I know Mick is just killing it over there with Bengals and OSU season tickets or something, and I was gonna my whole entire thing this morning when I woke up is to get on here and go, Mick, thanks for the thing. We shouldn't have missed it. You were right, but now you're gonna have to maybe take me with you to one of these games because I definitely didn't want to fucking listen to this thing. That was what I thought was gonna happen.
I mean, that's still a fair thing.
Yeah, sure, for sure. But it's not what happened. I mean, I've just full, I've never listened to this album before.
No, definitely not.
In 2004, I was on the other side of my punk phase.
Yep.
I didn't really...
And honestly, from reading about it, it sounds like fucking Green Day was on the other side of their punk phase, too. I was fascinated reading about this album, maybe more than I even liked listening to it, but just reading the history on Green Day and this album in particular, I was like, man, everything was just what? Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I try to look at the wiki when I'm done,
Oh, okay.
Because
That's
you know,
a good
because it
call.
kind of informs, like, sometimes it proves me right or wrong or
Yeah.
whatever with my opinions. But I was sitting here thinking, like, what are they trying to make, like, a fucking rock opera from the 60s and the 70s? Like, what? I had no idea this album was structured like this. No fucking idea.
Nope, me neither.
And it's confusing because the digital version is different than the physical version.
Yeah.
This thing's kind of a nightmare, if I'm being honest.
Well,
Like,
it is. And like a lot of the reviews actually are like, this could have been a mess. And it is a mess. But it's also
yeah.
super good
yeah,
in a weird way.
It is. I agree. But yeah, then I looked at the wiki and I was like, hell yeah, nailed it.
You sure did. It is a punk rock. It is a self-described punk rock opera.
Yeah.
A la like The Wall or
something
David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust.
I was going to say something that Ziggy Stardust is a part of, and
some
Bowie
Led Zeppelin albums.
The Who.
Yep.
The Who did what was that? Pinball Tim? What was
Quadrophenia.
There's that. What was
it's
the one
on
with
here for sure.
Yeah, I know the Who did the one where the kids playing pinball, and I don't really remember.
He's a pinball wizard.
The hell's that called? It doesn't matter. I'm sure
we can
someone
get to
is screaming.
Tommy.
Okay, Tim. All right. Well,
There are
okay. I
those who
said
call
Tim, and I'll go.
me Tim.
Tim. What is it? Tim the.
It's just Tim.
I thought he said something after Tim. Something?
I think we've done this before.
I think we have. Come on, we've done this before.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, I will say that one thing I had to do, because I hated Green Day at this time. I think it should be noted in 2004. I'm not a fan. I don't like punk bands by and large. I don't like punk rock music all that much. There are some things because of nostalgia that I really dig.
Sure.
Poor and Weird by the Briefs is a fucking incredible punk rock song.
The Living End.
So good.
Super sick.
Fuck, Living End, super sick. Go, man. Everyone go listen to everything we're saying right now. It's really good. Especially if you like this. I don't know why you wouldn't really like that.
Even like, man, was the Vines earlier or was the Vines like right at this time?
I would assume it'd be right like I would put it 2001 to 2004.
Okay.
Right? Like,
yeah. It would have to be because we were definitely illegally downloading it.
100%. 100. April 2002.
There you go.
Huh.
So yeah, we were into that then, and The Living End and Misfits cover band, but by 2004 most of that had waned and transitioned to more metal.
Yeah. Now we were still playing punk songs in 138 at this point, I believe, because 138 was 0405, right? More or less.
I do not know that timeline. I cannot tell you my own band history with any degree of accuracy.
It almost had, because we were still driving the green Honda when we were practicing out at Josh Walden's.
Yeah.
So it almost have to be 0405. 0405. So, I mean, I was still around it, but it wasn't my thing. And what I had to do before I was going to listen to this, and I've never done this. I treated this completely differently than I think anything we've reviewed so far.
That's
in a
fair.
strange way.
Should have,
because
probably.
I needed to look at when they got big in comparison to when this came out, because there is nothing I hate more than punk rockers who become part of the 1% and then write albums still complaining about the 1%. You know what I mean? And it's punk rock really loses its backbone when it becomes popular, which is unfortunate. And it's not their fault that people like their music enough for them to be popular.
Right.
And I'm less judgy about that now than I think I was then. But I did, for my own sanity, have to kind of look at.
So what did you find out on that front? So I'm super curious about this too,
well, what do you consider their blow up? Because I don't
Their
I would say,
blow up was unequivocally Dookie in 1994. Like,
you think that was? See, I didn't know if that was
stated that is their best-selling album of all time.
Okay, cool. Because I don't really remember them blowing up in the moment during Dookie. I more remember once Insomniac coming out, the singles from Dookie kind of being like propelled higher.
For sure.
So like I know that's their best-selling album. But I didn't know that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But I would say like Insomniac or Nimrod, like 95 to 97 is when they really fucking became like a
Green Day.
A legend. Yeah. Like a fucking fully fleshed icon of music.
So give you a little rundown on that. Green Day's from Rodeo, California, if you really care.
This ain't my first rodeo.
10,000.
Yeah.
They were active for 17 years at this release. They formed in 1987 as Blood Rage and then played... Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that shit at all.
Named after the movie.
Sick. Yeah. Blood Rage.
And then
that's awesome.
Performed as Sweet Children from 87 to 89. And then again in 2015, apparently, for a little reunion gig. But changed that name from Sweet Children to avoid getting mixed up with another band in kind of the Bay Area punk scene that was called Sweet Baby. And they were named Blair Hess in 1993, apparently, according to their wiki.
What the hell's happening? Like
they eventually settled on Green Day kind of when they signed, I think around 90 or 91. But yeah, they became Green Day for their affinity for smoking marijuana.
Fair.
Apparently the parlance of the area, the slang for a Green Day was a day where you just hang out and get high all day.
That's wonderful.
It's a Green Day.
That's okay. That makes me like them overall about 10% more.
Hey,
whatever I was at before, which was, I mean, not zero. By the way, I don't ever want to come across in this that like I hate Green Day or anything. I don't. Like,
sure.
It's just, again, it's old punk rockers is weird unless you somehow stay poor, and then I respect you. It's me being a douche, but
well, so this album is their 7th release, 2004.
That's insane.
Absolutely crazy. They had an album in 90 and 91, so 39/Smooth, and then Kerplunk, which Kerplunk had some stuff on it, I think, that one might recognize as Green Day. But Dookie
totally
was
agree.
their huge breakout album, major label, 94. Followed it up with Insomniac, followed it up with Nimrod. Both of those going double platinum eventually. And then got to Warning in 2000. So 97 to 2000, you released Warning. And Warning was not like... It was critically acclaimed, but it was not the commercial success that the previous 3 had been. So it's only been certified gold. So they did kind of take a dip on Warning. And then your point, this is 4 years after Warning. It's 10 years after Dookie. They kind of leaned into finally like, you know what, we're not Dookie Green Day anymore. We're rock stars. We're a global phenomenon. We're legends in the space. Even at this point, let's just fucking act like it, embrace it, go into it, and do this thing.
Yeah, and good on them, because I honestly don't have any shit to talk that way, even though that was my assumption, because they didn't really write. There's a weird I don't know if you feel the same way about this. The 2004 year, we are repeating
Yes,
2004
absolutely.
right now.
Yeah, we are right back in it.
And
I was reading about like the angst and what this album was written around, and I was like, boy, things have not changed a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of my what
As poignant today.
I've been bummed out quite a few times over albums that I've technically enjoyed because of the content. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, we had this might be the most 2004. No, I don't know if anything. Obviously, log.
Log.
Yeah,
It's big, it's heavy, it's wood.
Yeah, Lamb of God. I think I probably relate to the anger on that a little more.
Yeah.
For the time period, but as far as commercial success and also showing, not hiding everything that's going wrong, this might be the most. This might represent 2004 better than any album ever made. Like,
it definitely probably represents like a larger swath of the country. So like Randy's was just rage, which rightfully a lot of people felt.
Yes.
But this is kind of the more uncertainty, kind of like lost feeling, confusion at what the hell's going on. You know, what do we believe? What what the fuck is going on?
Exactly. Like, literally, what is America now?
Right.
Because that's what we were all asking in 2004. We all were like, what? I mean, at least for me, and I know it's our ages, right? Like, there's no such thing as the good old days. What it is everything's great until you're old enough to realize that it isn't.
Right.
There is no such thing as the good old days. It's just everyone has a perspective from a certain age that makes it seem like it because you're not worried about all this shit. Well, this is when we started. This is the age for us that you start to see how bad things kind of are.
This was that teenage coming of age album that they were writing. Actually, we were the people they were writing about.
100%. And I actually I don't regret totally ignoring this because it's just not what I was about at the time. That just is what it is. Fuck.
I didn't want a mirror held up to my feelings at that time.
No.
I wanted to be angry.
Yeah, and I was for a very, very long time. Was?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
these guys are 15 years older than us. Like,
exactly.
dead on. And so they were going through that, like, coming into adult. They weren't teenagers at this point.
No, this was like, we were just mad because everything was just in flux and nothing made sense.
Right.
And if you were at their age at this time, you could see it as a holistic view like I do today, which the rage is still clearly there. It's just, I can paint you a better picture about it than I could probably in 2004 when I would just go,
right.
And that's my explanation of how I feel about the time. So yeah, good on them. They did it. They captured it, man.
Yeah, they did.
They captured it.
And Green Day is, and seemingly always has been, Billy Joe Armstrong, lead and backing vocals and guitar. Mike Dirnt on bass guitar, backing vocals, lead vocals on a song in this album. And then Trey Cool on drums, percussion, and also lead vocals on a portion of this album.
Yeah, sick. Man, and talented dudes. All of them.
Yeah, seemingly. So the complexity of the structure may not give that sense, but they definitely all do a lot of stuff. Like, there's fucking glockenspiels. Like, it is no joke to call out Trey Cool as percussion, not just drums.
Yeah, he is. So this is as was the style in punk rock at the time, and it maybe still is. I'm not connected to that scene at all. But the rhythm sections for punk rock bands had to be like top fucking notch.
You at least had to be a phenomenal bass player.
That was the minimum requirement, but your drummer really kind of needed to be able to shred because your bass player was gonna shred. So Maxwell Murder by Rancid. If no one's heard that, go check it out. Speaking of, I know Rancid actually originally wanted Billy Joe Armstrong as their vocalist before.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Rancid was born out of Operation Ivy.
100%. Which, if you listen to it, I mean, it is Rancid. It just is. Like, pretty much. You know what, though? For how much I loved Op Ivy at the time, boy, that sounds like shit now. I mean, I can still, like, listen to it, because I kind of did. I kind of went on a little bit of a punk rock, you know, memory lane sort of situation. Because, again, I don't think it can be overstated. I listened to a shitload of punk rock from the ages of, like, 13 to 16, 12 to 16 or something.
Definitely like 7th through 14th or 10th grade.
Yeah, Josh Walden showed me a lot of that stuff. And yeah, he could shred a bass, my God.
He could shred a bass.
What was their toxic shock syndrome? Wasn't that sick?
TSF.
The scene was fun back then.
It was.
But yeah, no, sorry. But yes, the rhythm section of this band. And Billy Joe Armstrong is a great guitar player. It's just, you know, punk rock, that just shows itself in different ways than it does in some other genres.
That's a fair point. Musically, like, I would kind of rank this, I don't want to say talent-wise, but like technicality on display-wise, I would rank it above Jimmy Eat World, but below The Killers.
I could see that. I don't know, though. I don't know if it's my expectation shifts because of the genre or whatever I'm expecting.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would almost maybe put it slightly over The Killers, too. But only because of there's just a lot on this fucking thing. So, yeah, they're not playing, like, anything super hard as far as, like, guitars go and stuff like that. And he's obviously not, you know, belting out the notes like a fucking power metal dude. But, like...
Sure.
I don't know. With everything that they did on this, even if you don't notice it first, there's a lot of good.
They did so much. Like, there is an entire wiki section on the recording and production of this album, and I encourage you all to read it because it's, once again, it's fascinating in a way that Jesus, who was the band that we reviewed that, like, recorded in their neighbor's apartment, and like there was no reason that production should have come together the way it did. Was it Census
Under
Fail?
Oath?
Under Oath? It may have been Under Oath. But yeah,
I definitely know what you're talking about. And yeah,
that was a long story of production. This is a different long story of production, but suffice to say that Trey Cool brought multiple drum kits, 75 snares. He had 75 snare drums for the recording and production of this album.
And it is worth noting that I didn't tell a single difference on any of them.
Nope. It sounded like a snare drum.
I mean, maybe he only recorded with one and he brought 75 to be safe. I don't know, but I didn't hear. Yeah.
But so it took 10 months to complete the recording, and it cost $650,000 to complete the
Jesus
recording,
Christ.
Which is a lot.
I mean, that's like, oh my God, that's so much money.
Yeah, right. They're probably still touring to pay it off.
I mean, like, that's still a lot of money.
That is
like,
still a lot. That's an unheard of amount of money for an album production.
Yeah, I mean, outside of, like, hip-hop, I would suspect there's a lot of money involved because they always have, like, 52 producers and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's crazy, but for rock and roll, I don't know. You know what I'm going to do after this? Probably look up some AC/DC cost. I'd like to know how this, like, stands up to bands that were already, like, titans at this point. Well,
how much did it cost to produce Saint Anger?
You know it was more than that.
Yeah,
100%.
It had to be, yeah.
It had to be. Are you kidding me? I think that's the cost of getting Metallica into the studio. Like, I don't even, you know what I mean? I don't even think that includes the work that has to be done. I think that's just that's the fee for showing up.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. Wow, that's crazy. Just blew my mind. Also, there are so many engineers on this fucking thing. Like,
Yeah.
so many. There's
It's a
like
good production
19 engineers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you have $650,000 to throw at a fucking production,
Yeah. I like
sky's
the way
limit.
that this album came about, though. And we're probably going to spend more time talking about like the circumstances around the album than the actual album itself. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth doing a track by track. It kind of is. It ebbs and flows nicely, but yeah. So, warning, not a huge commercial success by the standards of the previous albums.
Sure.
But Green Day, I don't know if they had obligations or if they were just writing to write, but they had written an entire album, Cigarettes and Valentines, 20 songs, like written, recorded, everything. And the master tapes got stolen.
Get the fuck out of here.
I shit you not. The master tapes were stolen, and they're like, do we re-record that? So they reached out to the producer of this album, who had produced, I think, their previous 3 or 4 albums. Rob, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Cavallo, whatever. Side note, credited as piano on this album, so super nice.
Oh.
But they reached out to him, and he encouraged them to ask themselves, like, are those missing tracks representing your best work as Green Day? And they're like, no, we were just kind of fucking around. Like, it was not what we wanted to produce. So they scrapped those 20 songs and started fresh with this.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is fucking nuts.
The story continues. Like, the band was in their 10 years of commercial success following a flop. They're kind of disillusioned. They're at odds with each other because it's the same 3 guys for 17 years at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have some arguments about the direction the band's going.
Well, absolutely.
Supposedly, like, Billy Joe reached out to Mike Dirnt, like, hey, do you even want to do Green Day anymore? And that sparked some like conversations about like which direction to take it. The other 2 accused Billy Joe of being controlling of the sound and the direction, and Billy Joe was like afraid to show them things for fear that they wouldn't be good enough. And like, so they had this kind of like, I don't know, continued catharsis conversation type thing where they all became more respectful of what the others had to offer.
Huh.
And then they started writing this album in like, each of them contributed like 30-second snippets. And the 2 songs that are broken up into parts, like 5 parts, Jesus of Suburbia and Homecoming, those were like the amalgamation of these 30-second parts of each of their contributions, of like them trying to like one up each other's 30-second part, like kind of like an exquisite corpse exercise where like each person contributes to the overall whole. And like that's what formed the backbone of this whole idea.
That's fucking insane. To have a story like that, and then for it to result in such a monumental release, that's wild. Good. It's great.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a documentary on this that like details the whole thing, and like it was adapted to a Broadway show, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And
I'm watching that documentary after this thing.
Yeah, for sure. They did recover those stolen masters in 2016. So that's
really,
yeah.
Have they released it?
I don't know. I didn't care to look.
There's that Deftones album that never came out that really bums me out. It was the last recording they did with Chi before he went into his coma.
Oh.
And they probably recorded that in 1999, 2000. Damn. And they never released it because, it was the last recording with their best friend. So, but I've always wanted to hear it. Just like Velvet Revolver recorded a whole album with Corey Taylor on vocals.
What?
Yeah, that exists. That is out there in the ether somewhere, and they refuse to release it.
Corey, come on, man.
It's not Corey. It's
No?
like what's his? No,
Scott
what the
Weiland's
fuck?
estate.
No, because he was already
Jesus, is it Slash? I can.
Slash.
Okay.
Yeah, Slash. Thank you. I was like, why am I not thinking of Slash? Man,
You were thinking of
that's a miss.
hyphen or comma, I'm sure.
God, awesome. One day, if we're ever on video, you will be able to witness Josh knocking the wind out of me with those.
The life
I
just
love it.
drains from his eyes.
But yeah, Slash was like, listen, it's good, but it's not Velvet Revolver. So like, I remember him doing an interview. I mean, this is probably 15 years ago at this point. When did Scott Weiland? I mean, he died a long time ago now, right?
Wow, yeah.
And they were like, well, why don't you release it under something else? He goes, yeah, but it also doesn't sound different enough
Yeah.
to be something else. He's like, so it's just this weird thing that we don't think people should hear, because I don't want anyone getting the wrong idea or expecting something that's never going to happen. And I'm like, just put it on streaming services now.
Yeah.
Like, I understand 20 years ago how maybe that's not an easy decision to make, but like, what?
Yeah.
Put that shit out there.
Call it Velvet Revolver featuring Corey Taylor. Like, do a Dillinger Escape Plan featuring Mike Patton, or
Exactly.
Seven Angels, Seven Plagues featuring Jesse Zaraska, or whatever his last name is.
Is that what we just call misery signals now?
That's how they started, but yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I mean, that is now what I want to call misery signals. Who? No. You mean Seven Angels, Seven Plagues featuring Jesse Talks a Lot?
Yeah. Sweet.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not actually upset about that rant, because if any of you didn't know that Corey Taylor recorded an entire, like, 10-song Velvet Revolver album, you're welcome. It's a good one. That's a good bit of info.
I now have a purpose in my life that includes getting that released. Or hearing it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to hear it and not get it released.
I just want just one song. I just want to know what it sounds like. Corey Taylor's awesome on everything, so like,
he is.
How would it be bad? Yeah.
Man, so I don't know where to go from this. Like, this album was met with critical and commercial success. AllMusic gave it a 5 out of 5. User review was 4.5 out of 5. Rolling Stone gave it a 3.5 out of 4 for whatever fucking reason they brought that scale up. I don't know. Maybe that's I don't know. I got nothing.
I hate that. Fuck that.
Yeah.
That is awful. I mean, I'm sure people could poke holes in ours, but still, that's...
you could scale it up, I guess, to 100. You know, multiply both of those by 25, so it's like an 82 out of 100.
Yeah. Still. The one of the things I was concerned with doing this album is that I wouldn't have enough to say because it's American Idiot by Green Day.
Sure.
This is the biggest album we've done.
I agree with you.
And I don't even think it's close. And I think one reason I can say that confidently is that American Idiot has over 1 billion plays on Spotify.
Yeah, and you know, I mentioned that Insomniac and Nimrod went double platinum. This album has gone 6 times platinum as of 2013. It was their first album to reach #1 on the Billboard 200. It charted in 27 countries. It reached #1 in 18 countries.
That's it's wild. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
this is an institution. This isn't an album. This is.
It's been called by, I think, Rolling Stone or, you know, one of those magazines. It consistently ranks in like the top 300 of the top 500 albums of all time.
I mean, it's a cultural like touchstone. Like it's off the charts. So, and again, this is probably why we missed it. This sort of thing wasn't really what I was looking to do when we started putting the list together initially in
Yeah.
2023 or whatever it was.
For sure.
I wouldn't have thought to do this because it's like, what are we gonna fucking say about an album that like everyone on the planet has heard? But
Right.
I also didn't expect to have the listening experience that I did, for better or for worse. I'm not gonna say quite yet. We're not there, but
I was going to ask.
it was. It's well, so a track by track is strange with this.
Super strange.
Because I hate. I get what they were doing. I don't like the rock opera stuff from like the 60s and 70s. I've never really been a fan of that sort of thing because it's just like you're taking something that music should be the least cumbersome thing in the world and you're kind of making it a bit cumbersome.
Yeah.
To me, like I don't mean overall. For me, that's just too. It's like a constant thought exercise of where I am in the thing. It's not like a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I had no idea any of this was like this. I actually can't overstate my ignorance toward this album. I knew nothing about this at all.
I knew that
And I
it
thought-
had 5 singles, and I had heard all of them to death.
100%. And also, did you notice on the digital version? Well, I guess you listen to YouTube. I listen to Spotify, but
Yeah.
did you notice the physical version at track 3, Holiday / Boulevard of Broken Dreams? It's just 2 songs on the physical, but it's 1 song on Spotify.
I did not know that.
Yeah, like the digital release.
I need
You
to
know
do
what?
a quick
This is-
Google.
This is a strange thing to do because I don't think we've ever done anything like this because we've never had an album like this. But listen to the original track listing. It's American Idiot at 1, Jesus of Suburbia at 2 with the, 5 little shorts. Holiday at 3, Boulevard at 4, We Are the Waiting at 5, St. Jimmy 6, Gimme Novocaine 7, She's a Rebel 8, Extraordinary Girl 9, Letterbomb 10. 11 is Wake Me Up When September Ends, my least favorite song on the album, for whatever
Sure.
that's worth. 12 is Homecoming with the different version, like the little snippets. And then What's Her Name at 13. But if you go to the digital edition, it's completely different.
Yeah,
It's
the digital
it's
edition
completely different.
on YouTube is American Idiot, Jesus of Suburbia, and then track 3 is Holiday / Boulevard. Track 4 is Are We / St. Jimmy. Track 5 is it's all slashed up until you get to Wake Me Up.
And it made it like I had to like keep checking that I was not listening to songs that I shouldn't be, and like
Oh yeah.
because it's in the same order, kind of. It is slightly different. It's just that's a weird. It's just a first. I've never seen an album that is laid out completely differently, whether you're listening to it physically or digitally. That is that's odd. That is a strange. And that is where I kind of fell a lot on my overall enjoyment of this album. That's an odd choice.
Yeah.
That's an odd choice. That's another. I don't know if I would have done that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I started Jesus of Suburbia at track 2 thinking this is my favorite song. I don't care what else is on here. It sounds like the Misfits. It's got that like that little rockabilly thing that I love the Misfits for, and I'm like, this is straight up an ode to Misfits. And then I look at my phone, I'm like, wait a second. Wait, what?
It's 9 minutes long.
There's 7.5 minutes long left, or 7.5 minutes left. And I didn't really know where things ended or began. Maybe I thought I did, but I don't know. I could be totally wrong. So stuff like that was just kind of like not letting me understand the album as much as I think I would like to. It's like,
okay.
I don't know. But that's just a choice. They went with the direction of making it more of a thematic experience.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I was very surprised once I realized that as well. I was like, they bookended this with 9-minute songs?
and then not to end at the next 9-minute song, I also found to be a very strange choice. Like, did you really need what's her name after track 8? Maybe I just wasn't following the theme well enough, but it didn't even really seem to.
So reading into that, they kind of just didn't know how to end it. Like the uncertainty of everything lends itself to like an ambiguous end, where like it kind of seems like, this is how it goes, but the what's her name character that's supposed to be like the guiding light throughout the thing, the voice of reason for whatever it's worth, this person's gotten so far removed from her even that like they don't even remember her name.
Okay. All right. I can accept that. I just more thought like, man, if you're going to do the second 9-minute long multi-track, that should probably be where your album stops. But fair enough. All right. Fair enough. I more just think I was a little fatigued. Yeah. This is a long album, gang.
57 minutes.
That's a lot for a very rock and roll album. I mean, I have nothing against AC/DC. I mean, I grew up on them, that. Like, my mom's a gigantic AC/DC fan, but I don't think I can sit and listen to 57 minutes of even like them or whoever input whatever rock and roll artist you really want there.
57 minutes of like it is 57 minutes of that in slightly more interesting ways, but it is 57 minutes of that.
Yeah, because I mean, punk and rock and roll, they're not very different from one another, and neither genre really lends itself to what's the word that I want to use here? Variety?
Yeah, technical breadth.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's ups and downs, and you can write a ballad or whatever it is, but it's like, still, it's rock and roll. Like,
there's a structure.
Yep. So, outside of breaking it down, which I'm not even sure I can do track by track, because it's hard to even really know, am I judging Jesus of Suburbia by Jesus of Suburbia, or am I judging Jesus of Suburbia by its 5 subsets within it?
Yeah.
Where did you land on that, by the way? Like, what if I said, like, my favorite song on this album, when we're done, which we will do at the end, is not Jesus of Suburbia at track 2, but Jesus of Suburbia at point 1 of track 2 is my favorite. You know what I mean? I don't know where you...
Because I had the same thought you did. I was like, oh, Jesus of Suburbia is unequivocally the best song on this album. It's my favorite song.
100%.
I did the 100%. Same thing. I have it highlighted green, as I am wont to do.
Yeah.
But then it continued on, and I was like, oh, this is a different song now. And you can kind of tell where they break up, because I Don't Care has that Sex Pistols, like, I Don't Care scream very intentionally, I'm guessing.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in track 2 where they straight up play songs from other artists in it. Like Johnny Cash is in there.
Ring of Fire.
In there.
Yep. Very obviously.
And there was another one I couldn't quite put my finger on. I think it was during City of the Damned. Okay. There was a part where I'm like, oh, what's that from? I was like, did they rip this off? And then while the song continued, I'm like, no, they're doing a thing. This isn't a rip off. It's an ode to whatever.
To American musical culture.
Yeah, so like that's
Sex
cool.
Pistols are not, but yeah.
No, not even a little bit. God save the Queen. She's dead.
She is. He didn't save her. Well, he may have in the spiritual sense, but that's not for us to know.
Well, you know what he did do? Made her relevant for the first time in like 30 years in the 70s or 80s or whatever that was. Because no one gave a shit about any of that for a while until they gave a shit about it in the opposite way. Yeah. Anyway, so it's a really cool song, and I dig the things that they're doing. It's just I don't know how to handle it. Like, because Jesus of Suburbia within Jesus of Suburbia is the best, I don't know, minute and a half, 2 minutes of music on the album for
minute 51.
Yeah,
the wiki page has the like time breakdown. Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice.
Yeah, it is nice. So I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out later how to handle that, because I still really haven't decided.
Yeah, I don't know.
So what I don't know how you feel. There are a lot of songs in here that breaking them down is completely pointless
It's
because
ludicrous to do.
when you've had a billion listens on a song, that song does not need to be like studied. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it just doesn't.
At that point, people know what they know about that song. They've got their interpretation. You don't need to tell anybody like, oh, there's a glockenspiel. People know the glockenspiel's there.
100%. So, review?
For sure.
Oh, man. All right, Josh. We are gonna rate this here American Idiot album by Green Day.
What's a Bluetooth?
The fuck's a shovel flange?
I really wish I knew.
I don't know. I'm glad that...
In reality, it's probably like the flange of the shovel.
Yeah. Sure. Flangy. What's that? What do I think of flangy? Flangy's is something.
A
phalange?
Phalange is like a digit.
Is that a stand-up or something? Like something phalange? Like they're like, yeah, you might as well be like Nick Phalange over there. Something.
I got nothing on that.
That leads me to believe I'm wrong, gang. Josh, what did you think of the artwork on American Idiot?
The artwork, which was done by Chris Billheimer, which I think he also did their previous few albums, maybe.
Oh, okay.
It draws inspiration from Chinese communist propaganda art, which I can totally see. That all makes a lot of sense. It is an outstretched hand holding a hand grenade in the shape of a heart with some blood dripping down the hand. I gave it a 5. I really did, because I think it very effectively sums up kind of the topics of the album, the thoughts and the feelings, and the color palette of the black and the red kind of set the stage for how you would come to recognize Green Day after this. This is when they started wearing the like black suits and red tie uniforms.
Yep.
So like
it's crazy to think about.
Did the whole concept from this point onward, and I think it is a very apt album artwork, and I like that the middle finger is noticeably longer than the rest of the fingers holding the hand grenade.
That doesn't
look like a natural way to hold a hand grenade.
No, it really doesn't.
But yeah, I like the text.
Sick.
I like the counterbalance of where they place the red and the white. And I think everything's just kind of really good. I'm curious to hear your assessment.
Well, it's funny because I don't technically disagree with anything you just said.
Right, because I spit facts.
Word.
All facts, no printer.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Hip.
But sometimes stuff is so on the nose that I don't, you know what I mean? I ended on a 3. I don't know if I feel good about that because everything you said is right, but like it is fine. It's so. But nah, that's not. I'm gonna stick with a 3.
Yeah.
But like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just so fucking. Yeah, you're right. I know what this is about to be about, especially if I know that it came out in 2004. If I saw 2004 plus this artwork, I'd be like, don't need to listen to that to know what it's talking about.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to do a quick departure here and tippy tap type all in y'all's ears.
Sick.
What are we going for here? Checking out old Rise Against.
Rise Against is sweet. Well, there's sweet moments.
Our RPM in 2003 has the hand grenade with the headphones jacked into the hand grenade. And then, Siren Songs of the Counterculture in 2004 has the speaker with the lightning bolt. Like, okay, so yeah, Rise Against is kind of like right in there with Green Day on their socio-political commentary.
Oh, for sure. Did we have a Rise Against album? Did we do a Rise Against?
We did not do Siren Song of the Counterculture, and I don't think we planned
And then the
to.
next one.
It did come out in 2004.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not like it's not, it's but it's not.
It's fine. Yeah,
and it's not The Sufferer and the Witness, which came out in 2006, which is fantastic, and I listen to it all the time.
Oh yeah, if we're doing this in another year and a half or whatever it is, we're doing that shit
for sure.
And I'll still be calling out Mick. And he'll be the one person that interacts with us on anything.
Sweet.
I dig it.
Mean, maybe the guy from Bloodbath will still follow us every once in a while.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That's so weird.
Super
weird. I don't think there needs to be a lot of discussion about the next parameter that we review and rate. But as much or as little as you want. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you I gave the production a 5, and the fact that it cost them $700,000.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's perfect. There's nothing. It wouldn't have sounded any different back then. For the best possible recording of the music like this, it wouldn't sound any different right now if someone recorded this exact album today. No. It's when you have the money and resources, production is going to be good. Yeah. This is one of those.
It is one of those for sure. But I do like how involved the producer was. Like, that's kind of capital P production. Like, he, straight up asking the artist, like, is this your best work that you're bringing me?
Yeah.
Get the bring me your best work. And then, also playing piano on the album himself. I've got to call this out because this producer is a multi-platinum album producer. He did Dookie. He did all of the albums up to this. He did Goo Goo Dolls, Dizzy Up the Girl, A Boy Named Goo. He did basically all of Goo Goo Dolls. He did The Black Parade. He did Dave Matthews Band. He did Phil Collins. He did Shine Down the Sound of Madness. Like, he did Alanis Morissette's Uninvited song.
Wow.
Yeah. You'll Be in My Heart by Phil Collins.
Let me tell you, if your name can be mentioned alongside of Phil Collins, you're something.
If your name can be mentioned alongside any one of those albums,
let alone
the
all
collection of them.
Yeah, good call. That is fucking nuts. Oh, man, to put this and The Black Parade in your resume, that is you owned early 2000s pop culture, essentially. I mean, Black Parade was... man, we're definitely going to have to do Black Parade if...
I was going to say, we did not do the Black Parade, right? We did the one before.
No. Yeah, Romance. Romance. What the fuck was that called?
I can tell us. I've got it right here.
My Chemical Romance.
My Charity Roadblocks. 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge.
That's it. My Cheddar Cheese Roosters.
Yep. Must Carry Rugrats.
I don't know why I was going to say Rogaine. Must carry
Rogaine. Yep.
Just in case.
Probably
you never know.
At this age.
Who knew that would come back over?
Comb back over?
Okay.
Okay. What would you rate the impact of this album at the time?
That just hit. I don't know. Something about that got me right in the funny bone.
Nice.
You know what's weird? If I'm gonna like give higher numbers to things because they positively impacted me, I feel like I should also give high number of things if they negatively impacted me to the same degree.
Impact is impact.
Yeah, so I gave it a 4 because, like, it was basically everything I wanted to avoid at the time. Like,
Yeah.
I hated that they were wearing a uniform all of a sudden. Now I get it, right? Like, I get, like, it's because they weren't a punk band anymore. Like, you're not a punk band at this point. You're something else. And they leaned into it, to your point earlier. Like, this was them going, no, that's not what we are anymore. We're a fucking world-renowned music act.
Yeah.
And so let's make a fucking... like arena ready, blast the speakers out of a fucking gigantic stadium type of album. And they did. And I just hated it at the time and didn't want that to happen. I wanted all my punk rock to stay punk rock. And I just wasn't even into punk rock really at this point. I certainly wasn't into it. Like, you couldn't, like, rock and roll kind of in general wasn't much of a thing for me at the time.
Sure.
I mean, I don't. So yeah, I this is everything I didn't want to be in 2004. So it impacted me quite a bit, and just in a completely different way. I mean, I saw that fucking black shirt, red tie thing, and I was like, "What is? Ew, get the fuck! Like, what are we doing?" So yeah, I gave it a 4. What about you?
All right. I kind of took our traditional route. I think I gave it a 2, thinking like. I mean, yeah, you could not avoid the singles that were on the air.
Oh, God.
I was
absolutely not.
Forced to play, like, Wake Me Up When September Ends at a 9/11 remembrance thing in high school, like, in the gym. Like, it filtered into every aspect of society to a large extent.
It was on at every homecoming, every prom. Back then, gang, if you don't remember, for the younger folks out there, we really had to go to stores in 2004, and stores played music.
They did.
And you didn't even escape it if you were at, like, a fucking, I don't know,
Hot Topic.
Kmart, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Yeah.
But I also, like, I just kind of nothing did. Like, I wasn't actively trying to not be Green Day. Almost because, like, that would get you into an argument that you didn't even need to have. I would much rather be, like, actively trying to not be My Chemical Romance than Green. Because what are you gonna do that's not Green Day?
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That is a very good point.
I'm the antithesis to Green Day. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, and you know what? I had problems with this album that, I'm sure not everyone has. Like, again, it was just kind of fatiguing for me. It's a very, very long album.
It is.
But, like, I don't know how you'd hate it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how anyone's listening to this. And, I mean, I don't like deep diving it necessarily, but having it on is a very pleasant thing because it's just some kind of rock and roll. And if you want to take a minute and listen to what he's talking about to take more out of the music, you can, but you don't have to. And it's just kind of, it's good music. Like, so I don't know how you'd hate it. But
criticize your government. So, how much did you actually enjoy listening to it today?
Man, it's like dead center 3 to a 4. I guess I'll give it a 4.
All right.
I mean, it was fatiguing, but at no point was it just like, oh, this is awful. It was just like, man, for a punk rock and roll album, you guys really shot for the moon. I don't know if I needed you to shoot for the moon. but you did, and it's fine. So I think I liked it. I mean, I'm shocked I liked it. Really, I can't tell you how much I was expecting to get on here and give Mick shit, and I can't. I mean, I could, but
you could.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? How much do you enjoy listening to it today?
I also gave it a 4. Like you said, like you can't have it on and be like,
No.
like,
no.
But there are some parts that, like, it's long and it gets a little fatiguing, but like it does have a nice ebb and flow to it, and there's parts where you're like, oh, they did that?
Yeah.
Or like you catch like, wait, wasn't that the riff from Ring of Fire?
Yeah, that's really cool. That's the funny thing about punk to me. I mean, anyone can disagree with this, I guess, but when I started reading the wiki afterwards and they started doing new things like polka. Like, that's not new even to them, let alone in the punk rock world. Polka's everywhere in the punk rock world. And I do like, yeah, I love reading a wiki from someone who is just doing the facts, right? And that's great. Honestly, it's like maybe the longest wiki I've ever seen next to a professional wrestler. Outside of
for this album. Yeah, not even the band. Yeah.
No, the band's ridiculous. I mean, that is just a fucking...
I don't have that kind of time.
No, but the album is bigger than most bands. That's probably bigger than any band's wiki that we've reviewed. Just the album page.
Yeah,
it's a hefty boy.
There are many bands we've reviewed that do not have documentaries of their entire existence, let alone the creation of one album.
Correct. Like, we've literally not been able to find who produced an album.
Sorry, Antara.
Yeah,
we wish we knew more about you.
Like, there's a really sick Acacia Strain album that came out in 2004. It's very good. There is no goddamn information on that thing.
Nope.
It just doesn't. And Acacia Strain's pretty big for a metal band, like an extreme metal band. So, yeah. Man, I hope someone got paid a decent amount of money to make this wiki, because it's also very well done. Like, it's a good job on whoever did that.
That Acacia Strain album is 3750, by the way. Go listen.
Oh, and it's it'll kick your fucking skull in.
Yeah. As
the Acacia Strain is wont to do. They gotten a little doomy recently, and I actually like it. But yeah, shit's sick. It's a good EP. But yeah, for American Idiot by Green Day, the album that we reviewed this week, Josh, you gave it a 16.
I did.
And I also gave it a 16.
Yeah, we took different routes to get there, but total
32,
score
man.
32. Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
That is pretty damn good. I did not expect this to perform well. I expected us to be shitty people about
Yeah, so did I. I didn't just expect that. Like, when I woke up, put headphones in, typed in Green Day on my phone. As soon as I did, I was like,
darn near
Mick.
Puked.
Yeah, I can't believe I have to listen to a fucking Green Day record today.
Yeah.
It's good. Go figure. An album that has a song with over 1 billion views is pretty solid.
6 times platinum album. Yeah.
Go figure. Yeah. It's almost like there's a reason for that.
Almost.
Well, it's pretty sick. I am still at a loss for this, so I will ask you what your favorite song is.
I'm just going to cover it and say, like, the whole 9 minutes of Jesus of Suburbia. That's what I'm going for.
I'm not going to lie. Part of me wants to just agree with you because it's technically worth more than one song anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the digital. You can only add the 9 minutes.
That's true. I
was disappointed.
It's the only
to
answer.
Out, yeah.
I don't really have one other than the first part of Jesus of Suburbia, aka Jesus, parenthetically Jesus of Suburbia.
My backup was going to be Holiday, but you can't even do that because I didn't realize that they slashed it up with Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Yeah, and that's probably my second. I mean, there are some songs that I don't love on this thing, like, September Ends. And that's probably just from years.
Yeah.
Of it never going away.
Never.
This is worse than Smells Like Teen Spirit, because Smells Like Teen Spirit, which I hated when I was young because it was playing all the time, did eventually become like a thing you might hear.
Yeah.
Wake Me Up When September Ends never hit that slump. Still, 20 years later, it is still everywhere. I guess, you know what? I'll just say American Idiot. It's 2 minutes and 54 seconds. It's the first song. It's a song you've all heard. It's got over 1 billion views.
Yeah.
But I just can't talk myself into anything other than track 2, and you already called it. So, Jurassic Park?
Yeah, for sure. Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts. An already 62-year-old Samuel L. Jackson in 1994 or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude's immortal. It's weird. He's like 80, right? I mean, he's way older than you think.
No.
Right? Maybe 80's
He's
pushing it.
not as old as Martha Stewart.
He's 75.
Okay. That tracks.
Martha Stewart older than 75?
Yes.
83, that's not that big of a difference.
That's 8 years.
Yeah, you're right.
So 83, she was born in the 40s? She was born in 41.
Uh-huh.
He would have been born...
40.
Fuck, still in the 40s.
Still in the 40s. 48, dude.
Wow.
Man, fucking Snakes on a Plane was fucking born in 1948, everybody.
That shocks me.
Yeah.
I was
So just think,
flabbergasted that these dudes were born in the 70s.
that is odd.
Early
But
70s.
it also, you know what, though? That
Yeah,
kind of does explain some of the
it does.
decisions on here. So I respect that.
Yep.
Wow. What's crazier, that we had good ratings for Green Day, American Idiot, or that Samuel L. Jackson was born in 1948?
I think probably Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
This is a
When did
6 times platinum album. Like, there was a very low chance we were going to be able to bash it too much, even by our own selected parameters.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just think, like, the war had ended, like, 3 years before Samuel L. Jackson. Like, he was born 3 years after World War II ended. That is nuts. Like, we were probably still feeling like...
Wait, Martha
rations.
Stewart was born during World War II?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Man, I wish you had already done the Spotify and the Instagram, because, like, I want to walk off on that, but, like, we've got shit to do.
Holy shit. Wow. Nothing we've said on this is more important than the last 5 minutes.
Definitely not.
I might should just cut this and put it out as its own episode. Like, hey,
Green
everybody.
Green Day's fine, but Martha Stewart was born during World War II. During or in between 1 and 2?
Oh God. Well, hold on. All right. So World War II ended in 45. It would have been during, because I think World War II technically started in 39. Yeah.
Yep.
So she was 2 years old and war was kicking. I mean, she was, wow. You know what?
Her parents thought, like, there's a world war going on. You know what? Let's have a kid. They didn't think. People didn't choose having kids, but they just had kids.
Yeah, for sure. Man, and she would have been, I mean, that would... Well, this has derailed my entire day.
Now I need to know, like, what her life and station was in the midst of all this.
Yeah, because, like, everyone's rationing. I mean, you're to the point where there was a pie recipe from 1941, actually, where it's like the pie is like water and flour and that's it.
Delicious.
Like, the filling of the pie is mostly water because we had basically no sugar.
Just
like
water.
Yeah. Max Tasting History made it like a few weeks ago.
Sick.
And it's funny. It works.
Okay.
Which I didn't even expect it to work. I'm like, this isn't a pie filling. This is water.
Yeah.
This doesn't work. So her parents almost had to be Man, New Jersey in 1941?
What?
She is the second of 6 children. Oh my God. Originally from Poland? She's
No.
not, but her parents are.
That means they probably came here during World War One?
Dude, her dad's name is Edward Kostria. Like, that's as Polish as it as a...
She
I don't
was
know.
born in a pierogi.
What's Polish? I know they hate Behemoth, but other than that, I don't really know a lot about Poland.
I don't either.
I mean, they were in World War II.
Yeah. At least in some capacity.
That's fucking insane. Is she Jewish? Like...
She honestly might be.
This is just... And like... Wow. All right. Well... Check us out on Instagram at TDTL_podcast. We will add our favorite songs to our Spotify playlist, TDTL favorites, if you want to check that out. If you only cared about the last probably 5 or 6 minutes of the episode, I wouldn't blame you. I think I'm in the same boat with you now.
Thanks for hanging around.
Yeah, if you stuck around for this whole thing. God, I hope you did.
Yeah.
And if you pieced out before that, you missed really... We could have not done the rest of this and just got on here and been like, hey, gang, Martha Stewart, born 1941.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, 1948. That's right. That dude's still playing in Marvel movies who looks like he's 50. Yeah. He looks 75. Oh, yeah, Denzel's not aging so well. I think that's it's all the booze, probably. But that happens.
Yep.
But whatever. He's done everything you could ever want to do. Who cares? Yeah. All right. This has been American Idiot by Green Day. I am going to do nothing but try to find out everything about Martha Stewart now once this is over. And
yeah. I mean,
maybe I'll do a midweek update.
She's like legitimate friends with Snoop Dogg is now not the most fascinating thing about her. And
which is crazy.
Yeah. He's been Brad. I've been Josh, and we've been 2 decades too late.